Now?
Yes, now,
Okay. Uh, Good evening to everyone. Myself, Dr. Chandraya Gopani. I'm an associate professor in GB Pant Social Science Institute. On behalf of Satyashoda Collective, we welcome you all for this today's talk on Dalits, figs, uh, pork in North India uh, during colonial period. And we are also specially thanks to the Devashish for suggesting and inviting Vijay Kumar, Dr. Vijay Kumar. And we are very thankful to Dr. Vijay Kumar for accepting our invitation and willing to talk on this platform on very important theme. Satishoda Collective is a scholars network. We have been organizing online discussion on Dalit cultural food, Dalit food cultures. It is a series of lectures. 3 months back, we invited papers for a edited volume, and we received good response from scholarly world, and both young scholars who are already in the academics, they are all contributing to these volumes. Uh, because the idea is, though there are many aspects in which Dalit studies are seriously engaged, have been produced considerable literature, the field of food uh, in Dalit studies is somehow neglected, not focused much. And except Sahu Patole, one book, here and there you will find some articles. So there is a need to seriously engage and have a serious academic discussion. So with that objective, myself and Dr. Anand, uh, who completed PhD from English Department, University of Allahabad. So we decided to have a uh, edited volumes. Along with this, to have a open discussion for new scholarly debate and discussion. So we thought up that we will have a series of lectures which will be useful for the general audience, and this series will be recorded and it is later uploaded to the YouTube for wider audience. With this, now I request Devshish to introduce today's speaker.
thank you, sir. So I'm at traffic, so kindly bear with me if there will be malfunction. So first of all, as a Satyashoda Collective, welcome all of you. Personally, I welcome Dr. Vijay Kumar to accept the request. Dr. Vijay Kumar is an assistant professor in Miranda House College, and he has been teaching something around 8 plus years. He has started teaching Miranda House from 2019 to till present day. His research focus on Dalit history, labor history, and popular culture in modern North India. He has published several articles in reputed Scopus journals such as Life of a Dalit Magistrate, Ideologies and Politics in Dalit Life in North India, uh, in Modern Asian Studies. And another interesting article, The Chaukidari Force, Watchman Police and Dalits from the 1860s to the 1920s in United Province in Studies in People History. Apart from this, Dr. Vijay Kumar has been delivered several academic positions. For example, he was a PRO in Miranda House College. He has been member of conducting DUSU and Miranda House College Student Union elections. And apart from this, Dr. Vijay Kumar also is a founder and director of the Rethinking Dalit Global Histories. This is the very interesting project and interesting platform, and it from the knowledge we have gathered that this institution has been currently doing three projects. The first project is Dalit and Labor History. The second one is Dalit and Labor Histories. And the third one is for myself.
Devshish, Devshish, I think there is a disconnection. So now I request Dr. Vijay Kumar. Dr. Vijay Kumar will speak for 40 to 45 minutes. Then we will have a 15 to 20 minutes discussion. And please join with me in welcoming Dr. Vijay Kumar. Over to Vijay.
Uh, Thank you to uh, Professor Gopani and Devashish and the entire Satya Shodak team for inviting me to speak about my research. And in this talk, I am going to discuss some part of my PhD thesis and my ongoing research on Dalit food culture and Dalit pig laborers, particularly pig breeders, pork eaters in colonial North India. And for today's discussion, I divided the talk into three sub themes. First is introduction, in which I will discuss I will critically analyze the existing history writing on Dalit to theorize my paper and my argument. Second, the I will second in the second section of my article, my discussion. Today I will discuss social world of Dalit pig breeders and Dalit pork eaters, and I will also try to discuss the politics around the pig and pork. And finally, I will focus on the impact of Ambedkar's movement on Dalit. Uh, so this is the thing. Let's start the discussion with the introduction and the critical analysis of existing history writing. So when we talk about the current the history writing on Dalit history, so mainstream historians neglected the food culture and Dalit history in colonial North India. So that is why I started reading the anthropological and ethnographical writing secondary work, particularly on pig, human, and ecology, and available writing notes that a wild pig was a source of entertainment, heroism, masculinity, collaboration, and the knowledge production for colonial ruling elites. And a domestic pig was a sign of demon, impurity, disorder, and communal tension for Orthodox Hindus and Orthodox Muslims. But I argue that the domestic and the half-wild pigs were the source of the power and resistance against the exploitation and orthodoxy of these conservatives. Uh, and when we talk about Dalits, so there were various types of Dalit, and their history, though mainstream historians focus on some aspect like leather worker and the peasant Dalit, but the history of Dalit pig breeders, pork eaters, Bristol dealers, and the daily laborers, most often, ignored. So these, people, because they were facing exploitation, everyday exploitation, discrimination in the colonial North India. So that is why these, people mobilize under Dr. Ambedkar's, movement to protect their lives and, rights. Uh, when we talk about uh, present, ethnographical, studies, so we have a scholar. Her name is Radhika Govind Raj, and there are some other, anthropologists who noted that the upper caste Hindu, differentiated between the wild and domestic, pig. Can you just a minute? Yep. So I was discussing that when we talk about the anthropological history, anthropologist, for example, Radhika Govindraj, so she and other anthropologists, they argue that the upper caste differentiated between the wild and domestic pig, and they consume meat of wild pig only, and they dislike the domestic pig, because the domestic pig eat human excreta and garbage, and therefore upper caste Hindu and Muslims, they felt disgust at domestic pig, their breeders and pork eaters, and they consider Dalit pork eater to be jungly, wild, uncivilized. So in this way, the social elites proclaim their power, civility, and purity, according to the anthropologist. However, uh, uh, studies on pork and pig particularly suggest that wild, semi-wild domestic pigs eat fresh and rotten, food, mud, dung, and excrement. Caste Hindus, they, though hated the domestic, pig, but they eat, wild, pig meat, despite the fact that in Hindu mythology, wild pig is considered avatar of Vishnu, Varaha, who protected, saved the Bhudevi in Hindu mythology. When we talk about the economic reason why they dislike pig, so economic reason was that pig does not yield milk, hide, nor wool. So there is no no point to keep pig, breed pig. Uh, so, this is that is the reason that they preferred other animals like cow, buffalo, goat, and sheep. Okay? When we talk about the other thing, the economic reason. So when we talk about the domestic pig, so domestic pig and his meat, okay, often touched by the Dalits. But when we talk about the wild pig, so most often the wild pig and their meat were beyond the polluting touch of Dalit. But domestic pig and their meat had a value for Dalit, and they were sold in bazaars for as a food item. So this is the reason why various Dalit subcastes like Bhangi, Bhar, Chamar, Doog, Khatik, Nat, Pasis, they rear pig. But along with many, many other Dalit subcaste, they who didn't raise pig, uh, at pork, use pig in their everyday life as silent protests to challenge the orthodoxy of upper caste Hindus and Brahminical culture. When we talk about another anthropologist, her name is Yamni Narayan, and Yamni Narayan studied Chennai politics, pig and animal welfare recently, and she discussed identity politics, animal body, casteist specimen around binaries like Brahmin, Dravid, civilized, primitive, human, animal, pure, impure. pig, cow. So using these binaries and the identity politics, she claim that there is two types of binary nationalism, Hindu nationalism and the Dalit nationalism. And she argue that both group of nationalists, they use animal for their politics. And she said the right wing Dalits, they use domestic pig in the binary politics against the Hindu. So in this way, she basically tried to criticize E.V. Ramaswamy Periyar's self-respect movement, which was very popular in South India. And she by this way, she reduced the importance of Dalit civil and human rights movement of the 20th century to binary casteism and Dalit right-wing politics. So that is why I do not agree with her. I do not accept the binaries around permanent pole, because under the influence of Orthodox Hindus, some Dalits in colonial time asserted Rajput identity and went against the domestic pig, Dalit pig breeders, pork and cow eaters, sorry, pork and beef eaters. So that is why in my today's talk, I will not focus on binary. I will focus on the other issues which is connected with this politics and the food culture. Let's now discuss the second section, pig pork in the Dalit social world in colonial India, colonial North India particularly. The pig and porks were and still are an essential part of Dalit everyday life. The subcaste of Dalits like uh, subcaste of Bhangi, Bhar, Chamar, Doom, Khatik, Nat, Pasi, and other domesticated, rare, sold, sacrificed, slaughtered pig as commodity and offering. And in their bastis, they kept pig for bistal and pork business, celebration of birth and marriage, easy delivery of their pregnant woman, removal of barrenness, self. Uh, and making of construction of safe house, and during the harvesting, they use pig, prevention of disease and evil spirit, they use pig. And to get blessing of their god goddesses, gurus, ancestors, they use pig in their localities, in their culture. So that is why, in their everyday, life, pig in colonial India were very, important, and the pork is were very important. Pork was very important. Okay. When we talk about, colonial ethnographer missionaries, so they, collected folk, tales, legends, myths related to pig and Dalit. These, record, uh, these, ethnographer and missionaries, recorded Dalit, silent protests and emergence of new Dalit, god and goddesses against the Hindu, culture, god and goddesses. For example, colonial ethnographer, narrated a short story about a Bhangi, warrior who joined an army and died during a battle between Prithviraj Chauhan and Jachan. The place where the Bhangi warrior fell was called Jhakeria, and therefore he was known as Jhakaya. And on his shrine, Dalits, they used to offer pig and pork. And a sweeper was appointed as a local priest. So in western UP, he is a very popular popular local god for Dalits. Similarly, in Aligarh, Kanjar, Doom, Dhanuk, they worship Jakeya at the door of sweepers hut, and organize public feast. Uh, according to some, he was the ghost of a, uh, you know, ghost of a, Momdan, legend. According to another, story, folk story, he was a Vangi warrior whose shrine was in Mainpuri. Similarly, we have, another, popular Dalit, folk god. His name is Masan. Masan, Masan is actually a deity of, deity of Shamshan Ghat. And he is considered an incarnation of a dead son of a sweeper, man and a Brahmin, woman. Her the Brahmin woman father, he disliked the marriage of, sweeper men and Brahmin woman. So that is why he killed the illegitimate son uh, of 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 sweeper and Brahmin, and this son, later, became Masan. So at the shrine of Masan, children suffering from convulsions of, used to get, cure. Uh, and a pig was his, offering. In Gurgaon, Dalit, worship him as Masani, as a female, goddess, and she is considered the sister of Shitla Devi, Shitla Mai, who is known as goddess of smallpox in North India. Uh, Similarly, when we talk about Khatiks of Jaunpur and Mirzapur, so they used to worship, a god, and this god is actually a spirit of, unknown Brahmin, and they used to offer him a threat, a pig, and a cup of, liquor. So by, offering an unclean, domestic pig, Dalit, countering the Brahminical, discourse of purity. Dalit, also, used, domestic, pig as, as a commodity for, and they used to, breed, as I had mentioned, and that is why the domestic, pig, generated business for, Dalit. So, for ruler, Dalits, rearing pig, and business of, pig was one of their secondary, activity. However, some, ethnographers, noted that a few, Parsis, they set up, piggeries in cities and towns, carrying, good business. And according to another, ethnographer, but particularly of post-colonial period, his name was H.N. Singh. He mentioned that pig rearing was, pig rearing was easy because Pasi, breeder did not care much about the sanitary aspect, and they, let their children to do it. So that is why, most, school going Dalit, children after school hour, and those who were not going school, uh, so they, used to look after, the pigs, in their localities. Similarly, the kids of, Khatik and other, Dalit, they used to look after the, pig. They used to rear the pig, and by this way, they used to provide, a time slot for to their parents, so that, they can do, other kind of, work in the local neighborhood, markets. So, in my published, article on Dalit, Basti, I discuss that Dalit, dominated the Bristol business in colonial, Kanpur and its neighborhood, areas. And in my own ongoing, research, I suggest, I found particularly that in entire, colonial North India, Dalit were involved in pig related, business from Punjab to Bihar. And if you read the biography of Om Prakash Valmiki, so you will find a similar story. Let's now discuss briefly the food culture in the Dalit the politics around the Dalit food culture in colonial society. As is well known that there were popular rumors during the 1857 uprising about cow and pig fat, which provoke Hindu and Muslim Sepoy and native in entire North India. And since then many colonial newspaper and police record noted widespread rumor of powder and fat made of cow and pig bone and meat. And according to these rumors, such powder and fat were mixed in the food item like atta and sugar. So these rumors became the source of consciousness against colonial state during Gandhian movement, national politics, local caste and communal politics. So consequently, Orthodox Muslim and Hindus they beat, dislike, abuse, target, criminalize Dalit pig and cow breeder and those who involved in the trade of pig and cow related commodities. So pig and their smell characterized Chura Bhangi, Khatik, Dalit, and other Dalit pig breeder who were abusively called Suwar or Suwariya. So pig and pork became symbol of social panic, abuse, caste communal politics in the colonial period. So thus, Hindi Hindu writers and upper caste Gandhian, they re-demonized Dalit due to their unclean occupation, like pig rearing and unclean food habit like eating pork or eating beef or drinking alcohol. So consequently these pig breeders and pork eaters, Dalits, leather workers, they all became the soft target of the ongoing caste and communal politics of colonial period. uh, and that is why the so-called upper caste social reformers and nationalists, Gandhian, they successfully influence and mobilize a section of opportunist, ambitious elite, Dalit Chaudhurys against the Adi Hindu, leaders, Adi Hindu movement, and Ambedkarite Dalit by legitimizing their new Kshatriya, Rajput, assertion and their uh, power in declining Dalit, caste panchayat of colonial time. So these, Rajputizing, Dalits joined the caste communal politics of their master and imposed restriction on Dalit pig breeders, pork eater of their respected, castes, and they boycotted them socially and culturally and started, offering vegetarian food in their rituals. Some, preferred goat meat as livelihood. So in her recent work on animal and human relation, Radhika Govindraj argues by denying eating pork, the high status Dalit Arya of contemporary central Himalaya re-inscribed the Brahminical notion of cleanliness and registered upper caste Hindu power, purity, domination in the caste hierarchy and food culture. uh, Up here, I suggest that her argument present ideology of 20th centuries Hindu revivalist movement, which I had discussed earlier, that ki how Gandhian and the upper caste Hindus try to mobilize Dalit by influencing the opportunist elite Chaudhurys, Dalit Chaudhurys, who were the head of the caste panchayat. So 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 this is my suggestion ki the Radhika Govindraj, she is not presenting the idea of Dalit pig breeder or the pork eater, and they he and she's not focusing on Ambedkarites ideas. So let us now discuss the impact of Ambedkar and his ideas on, Dalit pig breeders, pork eaters, and other Dalits who joined him. So here, I suggest that such caste and communal politics work routinely against Dalit pig breeders, uh, pig Bristol dealers, pork and beef, eating laborers outside and inside, Dalit, community, and therefore, they started disliking the discourse of vegetarianism, Achut Udhar, which were anti-pig, anti-pork, anti-occupation, anti-Dalit. Since the late 1920s, they started, joining B.R. Ambedkar movement and started following his, ideas. When we talk about Dr. Ambedkar, so he was a critique of Brahminical discourse of untouchability, caste communal politics around pig, pork, cow, beef, vegetarianism, and Achyutodhar. He noted a case where some Dalit try to uplift themselves by abandoning the pork eating. So he noted that in that case he noted that some Dalit they got this message that the local Dalits they try to uplift themselves in the social status. So that is why the local upper caste Dalit they dislike the idea and they kill a pig, small pig, and they put the pig into the drinking water of Dalits, those who are try to uplift themselves. So this process, according to Ambedkar, repeated twice, and these Dalits are now socially boycotted and harassed, and consequently these harassed Dalits they left the village and they shifted somewhere else. So Ambedkar that is why expose Brahminical legend, manipulation, caste communal politics around the food culture and the unclean occupation of Dalit. In the orthodox and manipulative politics, according to Ambedkar, some upper caste Hindus force Dalit to abandon pig pork in the name of reform and vegetarianism, but many force Dalit to live with the untouchability in the name of tradition. Uh, in the name of tradition. Okay. So, when we talk about, Dr. Ambedkar, so Dr. Ambedkar in his writing, in his, movement, he, legitimized the eating of flesh of slaughtered, animal and animal related, occupation, which was, which was restricted by the upper caste, Hindus and their, Rajputizing, followers. But Ambedkar here, legitimizing, eating of flesh of the slaughtered animal and relate animal related, occupation by drawing, logical example from Buddhism and ancient history and he also started attending the public feast in the bastis of Dalit pig breeders, Bristol and leather sailors. For example, in my published article, I discuss a public feast in which Ambedkar participated, and it was organized by some pig breeders, Bristol sailor of Kanpur in 19, 40, 41, 42. I'll show you some pictures of in which you can make some sense. Uh, so here you can understand between late 1920 and 1940 Ambedkar attracted many Dalit pig breeders, pork, beef eaters, sailor of Bristol, leather, pork, beef, landless, laborers who denied, equal right in public, places and political agencies. And they were also, denied, job in army, police, and chowkidari force because of their unclean, occupation and unclean, food, habit. Uh, when we talk about recent study on Ambedkar, for example, Christopher Jeffrey Lott, he is a political scientist. So while discussing a transition in Ambedkar and Dalit politics in 1920s, Jeffrey Lott discussed a similar politics around Dalit food culture in uh, colonial Bombay presidency in 1910 and 1920. He argued that Ambedkar, attracted Dalit who ate pork and beef by emancipating himself from the logic of Sanskritization, rejecting upper caste reformism, and promoting equality. Similarly, in his article, sociologist Gopal Guru note a radical shift in Mahar food habit practices from Murda Dahe via Hat Hatfatka to Tuli. Murda Dahe, it simply means meat extracted from the dead cattle, and Hafta Fataya here means meat acquired through hunting. Uh, and the tuli here means meat of a slaughtered, animal. So Gopal Guru basically saying कि those Dalit who, earlier, used to eat, meat of dead, animal, now, gradually shifted to, meat of slaughtered, animal. So so the similar, thing I have noted in the colonial, colonial, North India, because Ambedkar was, promoting, his idea, and he gradually, attracted, Dalit folk eaters and, pig breeders, who started, joining his movement. And therefore, after, reviewing Dalit, condition in colonial society, Indian franchise committee, found that for upper caste, Hindus, particularly Brahmin, keeping, keeping of pig or eating of unclean, food such as pork and beef, and following some unclean, occupation were the reason of untouchability. So following the Indian Franchise Committee suggestion, the UP government and the government of, many, province in colonial, India prepared the list of scheduled castes in 1933, and that is why they received reservation, which is implemented in Government of India Government of India Scheduled Caste Scheduled Tribe Act of 1936. So let me conclude my discussion here. So for Ambedkarite Dalit, pig and pork symbolize power resistance because they nurtured domestic and semi-wild pig pork against the established ideas of orthodox Hindus and Rajputizing Dalit, and these Rajputized Dalit I had mentioned were the Dalit Chaudhris. In the everyday life, the pig and pork also uh, you know helped to generate power of impurity against the discourse of untouchability and purity, while uh, providing money, food, weapons of the weak, and raising the socio-political consciousness of Dalits. Thank you so much for listening the talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay Kumar. That was very insightful. Now, I invite Anand to moderate the question answer session. Anand, Dr. Anand. Okay, so it seems Anand is not there. So I request participants to pose their questions, observations, queries, directly they can write message to speaker, or they can unmute and ask a question.
So, very good evening, everybody. I'm really sorry for my indulgence in some other pursuit. However, as Chandriya sir said, please go ahead with your questions. So, if you have any questions, please.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
I had to
good
ask
evening.
one question to Vijay, sir.
Yeah,
Firstly, I would like to congratulate Vijay, sir, for a great lecture today and helping us to understand this topic. My name is Vijay Kumar, and I'm a research scholar at Department of Political Science, University of Allahabad. My question is regarding the politics of around food culture and historically what has been the take. So I would start my question. Sometimes while reading about medieval and colonial history, there comes a point where a theory is given during the times of Islamic invasion. Some castes started eating pork to prevent attack from Muslim invaders. Or to what extent this historical interpretation is objectively true, and what has been its impact on secular and caste politics of North India in contemporary times? Yes, sir. This is my question. Okay.
Okay, may I respond, Dr.
yeah, sir, please go
Gopal?
ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
please go ahead, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Abhay. I am aware of this, politics, and in my lecture, because as I had said, this is my, part of my, ongoing research, and the full draft of this paper, I had submitted. It is under review. I hope that it will publish soon. And in the full draft, I discuss, briefly about this, politics that, why, since the pre-colonial time, particularly in the medieval era, where, this anti-Muslim politics, situated by the by the, Hindu right-wing people in the colonial time. So, for example, I gave you, a case here. In my study, I found a legend which
Yes,
was
sir.
which is actually recorded by an anthropologist, and this legend actually says that one of the Muslim king, he wanted to marry a Raja's daughter, and but the Raja was not happy, and he was the Hindu Raja according to the legend. And so that is why, because a Muslim king wanted to marry the Hindu daughter, so that is why the Raja, used pig on the day of, marriage, and by this way, they, prevented the marriage. So this is the one legend, recorded by, ethnographer, and the same ethnographer, also informed us that after 20 years in the same locality, the Dalits, okay, they narrated that such a story does not connected to us. It was spread by the the so-called right-wing people in the colonial time. So my point is that because in the colonial time, the communal politics was spreading, and to recruit Dalit for their politics, the right wing people, they were using such stories. They were manipulating the history for their own benefit, to mobilize Dalit against the Muslim community. So this kind of history even today survive, and people are using these myth.
Thank you, sir. Really helpful.
Yeah. Any other question from audience side?
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, 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 Kundan ji.
Sir, since I am working on the topic margins to mainstream the historical study of the Sad community in
Hmm.
Bihar from 1800 to
Hmm.
2000 AD. So my question is, sir, basically we are using some of the Dalit heroes like Raja Shailesh in basically in Dusat. There are some folk deities, Raja
Hmm.
Shailesh, Ra Puja, Shailesh Puja, and these are the things. And they are, am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes. Continue.
They are just have taking pig as pig meat as a community feast in Shailesh Puja, in marriages, in Shailesh Puja, in Rahu Puja. I have found an interesting outtake on Rahu Puja. In North Bihar, they basically used to uh, cut the meat of black pig, and in South Bihar, especially in Gaya region, they used to consume white pork meat. And these are the narratives. What are your takes on these things that black pig are used to live in the tea? They are not domesticated properly. They have the white pig is domesticated properly. They are given uh, fodders themselves in the households. Sir, I just want to have that your take on these points,
Okay.
especially.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Kundan. Basically, your question is connected to the Dalit, rituals, in the contemporary, time. So I want to tell you that, for my research, during my MPhil days and even my, PhD days, I used to visit, Gurgaon, the Shitla Devi temple, which I had mentioned in my research. And near the Sitla Devi temple, we have a temple of Masani, the goddess Masani, and I had narrated some of the uh, two legend, of Masani. So when we talk about, Masani Devi temple, so here, Dalit in contemporary time, they, used to offer, pig to Masani. Uh, and during my research, I found that they use both type of pig, black and white pig both. So I didn't find any difference while while they were offering the pig to the deity. So I haven't, studied the case of Bihar, but in my study in colonial North India and near neighborhood, area, I never, noted, uh, you know, any, difference between the black and the white, pig. But yes, there is a difference according to anthropologists. There is a difference between the wild pig and the domestic pig. This is a difference. So, yeah. Thank you so much. Any other question?
This
Mm.
Mashid. So I
Yes,
just want, am I audible?
yes, you are audible, but your
Okay.
voice is breaking.
Uh,
Yes.
okay. So I'm typing my question. However, I'm repeating my question. So my question. So you talk about Chaudhries and all, how they were
Hmm.
shaping
Hmm.
the. Okay, I have typed my question. So you talk about Chaudhries and all their influence and their connections with Gandhi and all. So it
Hmm.
was interesting to hear about it. So my question
Hmm.
about the Dalit religiosity. So we know that there was various belief system. For example, Ravidasi, Kabir
Hmm.
Panthi, Tulsi Sampradaya, Datu,
Hmm.
Udasi, and all, and
Hmm.
they were basically lower caste expression, and particularly Dalits were very involved on that.
Hmm.
So during my field study, so I am working on Parsi community from 1857 to 1952. So
Hmm.
during my interviews and all, so I find that people will claim that they become bhagats and they become Kabir Panthi and they become Kanthidari. So they
Hmm.
just drop their food habits and all. So as we know that in religious sense there are prohibition of eating non-veg and all. For example, Kabir Panth. Kabir Panthis and all, and we find ki many castes like Dalits follow Kabir. So, how
Hmm.
do you situate food practices within Dalit religiosity? Thank you, sir.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Ashish, Devashish, for the question. It's a very interesting, question that how we see, the Bhakti saint with this, issue of Dalit, food culture. So I want to tell you that when we talk about Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar, so his father was he was a Kabirpanthi, and because of that, since his childhood, मतलब कि he was following the non-vegetarian lifestyle. But in his early 20s, or when he started, attending the college, I guess, so he, started consuming the meat, and he gradually, developed his theory after reading, after reading, many, religious, texts. And that is why he referred to Buddhist culture and the ancient culture to legitimize the food habits of Dalits. So that is why in his article, one of the article, he says ki Dalits are the broken men, and these broken men in ancient time were Buddhist. They were the follower of Buddhist tradition, and Buddhist tradition allowed earlier the initial the early Buddhists allow three types of meat, including pork and beef, and later they allowed five types of five types of meat. So this is his suggestion. But he's this is written in his writing. And when we talk about Sanskrit, yes, I had mentioned that ki Jafar Lord talk about this. He abandoned the logic of Sanskritization. Eh, the Sanskrit logic of Sanskritization of Kabir Panthi too. And as I had mentioned, he born, and he born in a Kabir Panthi family, and he was a vegetarian, but he gradually abandoned the vegetarianism and adopted the non-vegetarian food habits by studying Buddhism and other writing on Dalit food culture. Devishish, okay, thank you. Any other question?
Uh, Hello.
Yes.
Is there any other question from the audience side?
There is one question in the chat box. Purnima,
Yeah.
she wrote that she joined late, and she's asking about the sources. So, पूर्णिमा जी सोर्सेस तो बड़ा ही थोड़ा सा टाइट क्वेश्चन है मेरे लिए, क्योंकि सोर्स ही तो हमारा बैकबोन है. लेकिन you can read Dr. Ambedkar's writing, and Dr. Ambedkar in his writing he's discussing he discussing that different types of food culture, the problem of Dalit, who, and who were particularly the breeders, the pork eater, beef eater, their that leather worker. So Ambedkar's writing is one of the important writing, and you can read other writing. I had mentioned some of the writing in the group. Colonial ethnograph. I in my for my research, I use colonial ethnographer, police record. I studied newspaper. I studied many things. Yeah. Is there any
Sir,
question?
hello, am I
Okay.
audible?
Yes.
Sir, basically, I have heard that this Dusad community,
Mm,
basically, Dusad community was village headman, and you are also working on that chowkidars. I've seen your
Hmm.
that you have written about chowkidars.
Hmm.
So I just want to ask: does Dusad participated in Battle of Palasi, and they
Hmm.
were having some kind of military? They were working as a military soldier there,
Hmm.
or and how are you looking that thing? Thief caught thief theory that you have given. In regard of chowkidars, thief caught thief.
Okay. So, Kundan ji, you are correct that that ki Dushad soldiers participated in the Battle of Plassey, and अभी जो मेरा एक और रिसर्च का प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है जिसपे मैंने लगभग लगभग खत्म कर दिया है, उसमें बस एक चैप्टर ही लिखना रह गया है मेरे को, बस ड्राफ्ट करना है फाइनल उसको. So in my study I found that not only Dushad, there were many other Dalit communities. They were serving as military labor, and they were serving at different position in the army of princely states, local zamindar and colonial state. And when we talk about the consumption of pork and but when we talk about the relation between the consumption of pork and chokidars, so I can just here mention very briefly that because the Dalits used to breed the pork, so pork but they used to breed the pig, so that is why pork is pork was a low priced food item for Dalits, and it was easily available ठीक है, in the Dalit basti. And if you read some of the colonial writing, so particularly written by Dalit, so Dalit they used to praise pork eating. So yeah, I think that there is some relationship between the pork and chokidar, because for a good body they require protein, nutrition. So this is the thing. Thank you so much. Any other question?
So, any other questions, queries? So, otherwise, we will close this if there are any questions.
Good evening, sir. I joined late and I just listened the discussion part. The lecture part I just missed, and some of the things what I'm knowing, I'm just saying here, and I hope sir will add more things to this. Like in Uttar Pradesh, especially in eastern Uttar Pradesh, I'm Dr. Santosh Kumar from University of Allahabad. So what I observed in the eastern Uttar Pradesh, many new things are going on. Those are like within Dalits, some categorization is there where they are asking some Dalits who are eating pork, they are the pure one, the pure Dalit. And I'm especially talking about the Chamars. And who are not eating it, they are
Santosh ji,
going
you are
on.
not audible. Santosh ji, you are not audible. Can you repeat your question?
It's not my question, sir. Just is my observation. What I have seen in the eastern Uttar Pradesh. If yeah, if you are not, I'm not audible to you, then I'm just skipping this. We may talk later, sir.
Yes, yes, please.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. Definitely, I'll be in touch through Chandra, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so hopefully, because there is a much discussion around beef, particularly when you search in Google, when there is a debate around food, particularly Dalit. But talking about pork really become a very important, because so far I didn't come across much discussion on pork, Dalits, and their everyday life, both in colonial period and after colonial period. But this hopefully Dr. Vijay Kumar article will come up, and it will be more helpful for us to understand. And there is also a need of in the contemporary times, not only in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and if there are some insights from South India, it will be more comprehensive. Because in what is the situation in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, even Telugu region also, it will be more interesting how the south and northern, Dalit communities treat and have a intimate or socio-economical relation with the this pig and pork and all that. So it is also in terms of economy, economic point of view also, though it is stigmatized in terms of economic, because it was a, when was it was domesticated. In Telugu region, there was a, in my childhood I have seen Erekala community. It is generally it comes in under ST category, but in villages, Erekala community used to rear pigs. Uh, I don't know how now what is happening. I feel when we talk about Dalit food cultures, we have to talk the neglected parts, not only beef. This is very, very important. And the insights you brought, Ambedkar, and during colonial period, the way Gandhians and nationalists, how they have treated the anthropological studies they begin to study. These are all very, very insightful, and for new generation of scholars, this will be more engaging. And we are very thankful. I invite Kundan to propose vote of thanks. Kundan. I think Kundan is, it seems Kundan is left. Huh? Ah, please.
Is on field. So, I'll deliver a vote of thanks. First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Vijay Kumar. Actually, we all are pretty much engaged with our field work. But apart from this, thank you so much, Dr. Vijay Kumar, to share your thoughts. And it was very enlightening for us, and because we all working on this food domain and how it is shaping Dalit community. And with that, the collective thanks to you, and thank you for listeners. Apart from this, we are having another lecture on 23rd of February, and we'll share the poster. So listeners, we'll invite all the listeners to do join the session. And with that, I again thank Dr. Vijay Kumar to share your thoughts. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Devashish. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
And this 23rd lecture again at 6 p.m. on Satyashoda platform. It will be a Dalit food memories in the context of partition. So it will, from Bengal, it will be very insightful. That is a different kind of area altogether. We invite you all for this series of lectures we are going to have. So thank you very much.